professionals use is this mix right here.
How do you decide what size particles to use with a tree? Or is that in your soil talk?
Very good question. The larger particles of soil, the drier the mix, the more air there will be there because the space between the big particles is bigger. All right? So my teacher Ryan mixes small particles like the small particle size aoki, like the bag I have down there, with the medium size aoki. So it becomes smaller it becomes smaller air spaces, so it's a little wetter, less space for oxygen. So there are certain trees, like that tree, for instance, is a water-loving tree. So that would definitely, you look at the size particles that Brian's going to be using.
This is all small aoki. So 80% akadama, and that's the size particles I'm going to use.
What did you use for aeration?
I used immediately you can see the difference. I mean, I can just lay a piece on top, and you can see the difference.
So is that akadama that you use?
This is pumice.
Pumice.
Yeah, this is a layer of one size bigger pumice that I'm using for an aeration.
Straight pumice.
Straight pumice.
So you don't use charcoal anymore, Dave? Oh, Steve?
Not, as Steve was saying, using the same substrate for the drainage as for the fill, but you're not. So I'm just wondering.
Different teachers teach different things. Boone taught to use exactly what he's doing. He taught to use pumice on the bottom. Ryan teaches to use the exact same particle mix on the bottom that you use in the middle. So it's a little bit different.
Which I could have gone with the medium-sized aoki, but I fished this out last night at midnight.
At midnight, yeah.
It'll work fine.
Hey, Steve, something Kevin had asked about screwing in from underneath.
Yep.
And how, if you do that, because I've tried this last year, and I didn't know what to do about an aeration layer and that bottom layer of soil that you just put down. So how do you, if you do that screwing method,
Well,
is there soil?
what I would do is I would screw this to a piece of cedar, maybe this big, and then I would screw the cedar to the bottom of the box. But I'd still, you're right, I still would have this right on the wood, but I'm not really worried about it because I don't want any roots to come out of there, because I will likely cut this shorter the next time, because this will all develop amazingly.
And you can, you can look at that stub is down. The air resistance.
Okay, so now that I have my aeration layer, I have my aeration layer down, I put down a layer of my regular particle size soil. Now I know I want this tree offset a little bit to this side in the container, so what I did is I put a small mound right there. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have the front of the tree. I'm going to settle this in here like this.
Front to you or us?
The front's to you guys now.
Just curious.
And now I'm gonna get this in there, and that mound is flattening out, but what's happening is it's taking all that soil and it's moving it up into filling the spaces where.
And look at how stable that tree is in that pot, and that's because it has a solid root ball.
Yeah,
That
I mean, without tying it
he's
down.
just letting it sit there. I can't do that to this tree. I'm gonna need assistance
Oh,
right
come
now
on,
because
try.
there's nothing that's gonna hold this in place. But that's just, to level a tree like that is so much easier.
Yeah,
You
this
could
is
do
a
it by
super
yourself.
Super simple repot, really. And now, once I level it, I want to make sure that I have my front right. So, as I knock it out of the.
Somebody first to do it.
You've got 4 wires with a 5th one attached, Brian?
Nope, I'm not even going to have to do that.
Oh, okay, because you
I
have such a good
solid
start.
root ball. This
Okay.
is like so easy. It's, yeah.
A caveman could do it.
The caveman can do it. I'm also going
Here,
to look
watch.
at it front to back from the side in the pot and make sure that it's where I want it. I actually want to move it up just a hair. And I want to look at the angle of my trunk.
Leaning towards the viewer?
It is leaning towards the viewer, but I want it to lean a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit more soil under this side. And I'm going to take the chopstick and just kind of work it in a little. So now I have the angle that I want front. And if I wouldn't have looked at it from this way, I would have tied this tree down and it would have been leaning backwards and I would have been angry for another 5 years till I repotted this tree. So This is the time to take your time and do it. Now what I'm gonna do is just really simple. I'm just gonna go one over the other. Because I have a solid root ball,
There, one shot.
I'm gonna tie this.
So because he has a solid root ball, this is a real easy tie-in.
You pulling up while you're doing that?
I'm pulling up and then I'm releasing as the twist happens.
I was feeling you're going to say that.
That's good there. I'm gonna go this side. I'm gonna check everything again. Yeah, I got it set, offset. I'm good this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and just. I don't recommend cutting wires with the shear. These are like dedicated repotting shears, so they get the crap kicked out of them. I don't mind cutting the wire with them.
When we're done here, I could use everybody's help to move some tables in the other room and get things put back in order. We don't have to do hardly anything to the chair, so.
Okay, so now that that's done.
What time do we have to be out here?
Probably 5 minutes.
Supposedly 12. 10 to.
But we have,
Tend to what, tend to your own business.
They say which time zone?
Yeah, they didn't say that.
so I'm basically doing the same thing that Brian did, but I don't have a solid root ball. So I'm just kind of working some of that soil in from the bottom, and then I'm gonna have John or Dave here pull that. And
Oh, sorry.
And I'm going to try to take any of the curve and coiling nature out of these roots because I want this guy to just search for water. I want to fill this whole pot with roots.
Tie down with chopsticks?
I'm going to tie it down with chopsticks. Yeah, I'm going to show you. So I don't have a lot of roots to worry about. I'm just going to kind of fill this in. It's going to just go through the roots pretty easily. And yes, I'll do a little bit of chopsticking.
No, I didn't know if you were gonna use the chopsticks, like lay them across.
I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to show that in a second. Now, I'm not worried about exposing this Nabari here yet because I want all of these roots to shoot out roots. So I'm going to bury this probably to there right now. Very different repotting purpose than what Brian is doing. Now I have no roots here, so I could just dump the soil.
Haven't been there. I've heard that their farm,
So now, what I did was, the soil was on the bottom, I put soil all around, I went through with a chopstick, I made sure that I filled any voids, which there really are no voids, what I'm just trying to do is get it under that end ring around, because I know that the bottom had a full set of soil. Then I went through with my broom, and I kind of swept off, you can see there's a little lip around, and that's gonna serve as a water catch, so the water tries to run off, it won't run all the way off. Let's see the newly exposed Nabari, looks pretty awesome.
How long before you fertilize it, Brian?
I am going to put some Dr. Earth Life on right now.
This is really important here. Listen to this, you guys.
So this, Dr. Earth Life, is sold as kind of like a fertilizer, but really it's full of
Guys. Can we
like
keep the, can't hear.
mycorrhiza, bacteria, fungi. It's more of a soil food than it is a tree food. So what this is doing is, although all the soil that was left in the sheen in the root ball is alive soil, the new stuff is pretty sterile. So this is going to kind of impregnate that sterile soil with life. Hence the name Dr. Earth Life. So we want our soils